Morning, guys. Welcome to the M&M update with your massive M, Tiny Titan, and your shredded to the walnut glutes. Big M. He's still a big M. So I can be my massive M. You can be the big M today, AJ Morris. Good morning.
Good morning. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm still shredded, yes,
Eh,
and not for much longer though.
no,
Can't
not for
wait.
much longer. We're nearly there, aren't we?
Can't wait to make some gains again. I saw one of my squat videos came up, and I think quite a few people. I tagged one of my clients in it to show what I used to be doing, and because I tagged someone in it, a load of people sort of saw it in the plethora of social media, and they were like, "Wow, that's incredible!" I was like, "Yeah, I was 40 pounds heavier."
Yeah.
Can you not fucking tell that that's not me right now?
Exactly.
But yeah,
That was the person who ate you right now.
yeah, it was. That was
Yeah.
that was 182 and a half kilos for like a set of 10, which is
Nice.
pretty cool. But yeah, I miss doing that kind of stuff for sure at the moment. It's been a long time since I've crushed some heavy squats.
Yeah, that's it. You're still lifting heavy though. You still doing? Are you still doing deads? Or have you done the
Yeah,
deads?
I've got deads today.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah,
So that's really good.
yeah, last leg session before Worlds today.
Holy shit, it's going to be a good one
Yeah,
then.
I'm gonna bury myself.
So let's have a chat about your training then, in regards to having a look at that squat video. So you were 40 pounds heavier in that squat video that you
Mm.
did 180, 182.5, did you say?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for 10. So,
Mm.
in relation to what you were lifting then compared to what you're lifting now, what are your strength gains been like? Let's compare the deadlift because I know that
Mm.
you're obviously not squatting at the minute.
Yeah, so the deadlift, I was probably like doing a lot more lower rep range work when I was in a gaining phase.
Oh,
So my 4 to 6 work, I think at peak was like 180 kilos for like a 5 or 6 repper.
nice.
And then as I came down, I switched more so to higher rep work, with the rationale being that I could accrue more volume across the deadlift session with higher rep ranges rather than spending my an hour in the gym deadlifting just to get sort of 5 sets of 4 or 4 sets of 5 done. You know, something very low volume but high intensity would absolutely drain me neurologically as well and ruin other sessions. That's
Sure.
what I was finding as I was getting leaner. So I moved over to more sort of higher rep work. My higher rep work initially was probably, I think the best I've ever done is something like 160 for 9 or 10. And, you know, recently I did, like a couple of weeks back, I did 140, obviously being about 40 pounds lighter, did 140 for 11.
Nice.
So, you know, it's not that bad at all, to be honest. I think, if anything, my execution of the deadlift has improved a little bit as well, with regards to just putting more weight in the eccentric. I think a lot of people with a deadlift, they just think, okay, well, you know, as long as I get it from A to B, then I am deadlifting, and yes, you are. But there's a large part of your musculature that you're going to be using in that eccentric portion of the lift, especially when it comes to if you do want to use it as somewhat of a hamstring exercise. I find that on the eccentric, the loading that you can place under your hamstrings, if you do control it, is far greater than if you were to just like drop it at a very very fast sort of tempo and speed, and then continue to sort of yank it off the floor again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think from an execution point, I've improved, and from a strength point, I've probably lost about 15 to 20 kilos in the same rep range. So it's not awful, but I think for me the deadlift doesn't. It feels good still, but it certainly doesn't feel anywhere near as good as it does when I got a bit more fluff around the areas that matter, like the hips and the knee joint.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the squat. The squat for me, I actually tried some squats a couple of weeks back, and they felt like utter shit.
Yeah.
Utter shit. I can't squat for if I was paid to squat right now. My
Yeah.
leverages suck. It is, as soon
Do
as I
you
got
think...
under a specific body weight, my leverages just absolutely suck dick. They're
Now you see,
horrible.
this is an interesting point because I was having a look at this. You know, when we talk about exercise rotation and we're obviously mixing things up to stop you from stalling and that kind of thing. Do
Mm.
you think it's because you've been away from the barbell squat for such a long time and gone on to the hack squat that your leverage has changed? Because obviously you're working in a different plane, aren't you, as well?
I
So do you think that that could have some effect on it?
Yeah, I don't think, obviously, I don't think it's going to affect the leverages. I think that's primarily affected by fat loss and the fact that I've literally got less of me. But with regards to the skill acquisition, absolutely. You've got to remember that with anything in the gym, it's a skill. It's to do a rack pull, to do a deadlift, to do a squat. It requires some element of skill, and the more that you don't do that, the potentially the worse you get. It's the same like doing a header in football. If you play 6 games and you get no headers, you in that 7th game the guy crosses it over into the box and you are suddenly to do a header and you haven't done one in 6 games. You're going to be worse at that header than if you'd done 6 headers in the last 6 games. You know, it's a skill acquisition that you've got to be repeated in your action, which I think breeds the idea that, especially for a newer trainee, the idea of rotating exercises with like really high frequency in terms of the rate of rotation is just simply not a good idea. Like, I'll have clients come to me and they'll be like, do I need a push A, a push B, a push C, and a push D work? No, you fucking don't. You need a push workout.
You need a block.
Yeah, you just need a push workout and you need to get better at it. The initial thing that I'll do with clients when it comes to any form of rotation will always initially be rep range based.
Yeah.
And that's essentially applying daily undulating periodization to a block, which is something that I will do. At the moment I take on clients that are definitely at least at the intermediate stages to advanced. Now, compare that to a general population client. In my past, when I was coaching general population clients, fuck DUP, they'd be doing the same shit pretty much every single session. They'd just be aiming to beat what they did last time. That would reap rewards for a long time. A hella long time.
Definitely,
if they're
yeah.
training like 3 or 4 times a week. They come in, they do very similar workouts, and actually a few of them would say they'd sometimes be like, AJ, do we need to change this up? Do we need to sort of like shock the body with anything else? I'm like, do you enjoy this? And they're like, yeah, I like this, but I'm just wondering whether we need to do stuff that's harder, or whether we need to do more supersets or do higher reps or something like that. They'd be inquisitive as to whether we're going to change it. And I'm like, no, like, you love this. The thing that you're doing, which you don't actually realise sometimes, because I'm the one logging your sessions, because that's the way that it worked with my general population clients, you don't realise, like, sometimes how much you're progressing, because, like, you don't see yourself back at week 1. And, that's the reality. I think, even pretty intermediate trainees can get away with very, very simplistic approaches and just sticking to the basics. So, yeah, I think one of the downfalls of people now, definitely younger trainees, is that they do get a little bit too inclined to change things too frequently.
Yeah.
And to try to put together this optimal rotation of exercises. When in reality, I think the primary control of exercise rotation should be auto-regulated.
Yeah.
So you should only exercise rotate when you feel like you need to. So you should like look at either a plethora of movements to cover the whole musculature if you're a bit advanced when you're trying to build up different muscle groups. So like one day you do an incline focus, one day you do a flat, for example, for chest. Or if you felt like one shoulder press was really struggling to progress, you do 2 in a week in your 2 push workouts, which is what I do. I do one that's more sort of behind the neck, which I did yesterday, and then on my Monday push session, I do one that's sort of really quite sort of static and upright. And they're both machine-based now because I need that support. Like OHP feels really shit.
Can imagine.
Really shit. But what was I doing throughout my whole off season? OHP twice a week, 2 different rep ranges. I got fucking strong at it, and my delts improved.
Definitely.
If I look back and say, was that maybe the most optimal thing to be doing? Yeah, I think at the time it probably was. Was my execution the best that it could have been on that OHP? Probably not. But it's funny. I was literally like looking back at some of my Instagram videos the other day. It's like my form, my execution on a lot of my old compounds, and a lot of them I would look at now and say that that's not good enough. And that's the importance of filming yourself,
Exactly. And a lot of people are saying the same thing. I film myself quite a lot in the gym, and I put 1 or 2 on socials just because of the fact that obviously you want to explain some things. But yesterday I didn't do any filming, but I did take pictures of what I did to improve my pec fly. And it was just a really interesting thing because it's like my scapular retraction is getting a bit stiffer because of the simple fact that I'm getting tighter in my pecs because I'm obviously working my pecs a lot more and they're getting a lot tighter. So my scapular retraction, I'm really having to concentrate on it. So just putting a foam roller in between your shoulder blades on the pec deck actually improves your posture so much more, snaps your retraction back. And you know what? I could actually lift heavier or fly heavier, should I say, whilst I was in a perfect position. And that's the reason why I posted that picture rather than any kind of training video yesterday. But execution is paramount to hitting those. Like you said previously, you're not a power lifter, so picking up a deadlift and just dropping it is not going to be optimal for you because of the fact that you're not just wanting to move a weight from A to B. You want to move that weight from A to B whilst contracting and using every muscle and putting the muscle under tension, under time, tension under load and everything else because you're a bodybuilder and working for aesthetics, not just for strength.
I think they have those benches at at MI40. They actually have curvature Watson benches, which are very much like the putting a foam roller in between your shoulder blades. Chest is something that I've really struggled to grow in the past, and I do think that JP, actually, Jordan Peters, said it in one of his most recent videos, because he's funnily enough taken a really big sort of reset on a lot of the things that he's doing now.
Massive different approach.
He's had a lot of chats with Joe Bennett, which I've talked about before on the podcast about how good his sight is. And, Jordan's taken a lot of things back to purely execution based and making sure that he's actually targeting the muscle group that he wants to be working in a lot of his heavier exercises, which in the past he sort of admitted that he didn't really know what was working when he was doing all of these PBs that looked like great execution. To be honest, his execution never looked bad, in my opinion.
No.
But he's just like, can it be better? And of course it can.
Sure.
And, he was saying in one of his videos, he was like, I think that people that have weaker body parts have just never learned to fully activate that muscle group for the exercises that they've selected. I think that's very fair to say for me, because I was always someone that would be like, with a bench press or an incline dumbbell press, I'd be like, this is the full range of motion. This is it. This is your full range of motion. You bring all the dumbbells all the way down to the chest. You hit the chest. You fire it up. It's the same with the bench press. You have to touch your chest. I'd always be like that. And if anything, I was actually taking force production and load away from my chest on a lot of occasions. Because now I've found with an incline dumbbell press, when I retract my scapula, like you say, obviously you're talking about pec deck, but we're talking about incline dumbbell press here, where I retract my scapula and almost pretend like I'm trying to... This is a good cue. You could probably take it on board even if you're on audio. But I try to imagine like I'm rowing the weights down to my chest. So I'm almost performing like a bent over row in my head, obviously with the force being produced vertically, so it's pushing down as opposed to you pulling. But it's almost like a rowing motion, so I'm pulling it in, and that creates such crazy force production and load throughout your pecs. And then when you bring it down, you've got to really realize where your range lies. Because if you go beyond that range, the only thing that you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking tension off your chest. You're going to be putting force production onto your delts, onto your triceps, and those things will take over, especially if you've taxed them throughout other portions of the workout. So, you know, that's something that I've learned. And if anything, I think, you know, towards the end of this prep, because I've had to reduce some loading on exercises, it's made me rethink how I'm performing things and whether it's optimal. So yeah, it's a big thing, execution now, like, but not to the detriment of the loading. Like the heavy loads still need to be there at some point. You just need to, if you think, you know, you listen to this podcast and you're thinking, oh fuck, I need to reset loads of shit. Like, yeah, reset it, but remember how important that progressive overload is still. You know, it's still there. It's still very much a fundamental thing that we need to chase if the goal is hypertrophy.
Absolutely, yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people just get fucking lost in either one or the other. They chase overload and just form goes out the window. Or they chase execution and they stay pumping and squeezing shit loads for the rest of their life. And they wonder why they have no density to their physique. I just think, you know, it might sound bro, but the guys who have dense physiques that are strong. That's
absolutely.
It. You know, you don't find dense muscles on people that lift the same
pink
loads.
Dumbbells.
Yeah, pink dumbbells. The same loads all their life and never challenge themselves.
This is it, and I do the same with my clients as well. I get my clients to send me videos of some of their lifts, even if it's something like a flat close grip bench press for their triceps and things. And if they're hitting that rep range and just kind of getting up and stopping the video and that kind of thing, it's just like, okay, your form's good, or, you know, whatever feedback I'm going to give them, but you can lift way heavier than that. You know, if you can still just kind of rack things up and just get up and sing a song and have a giggle and that kind of thing, mate, when I'm doing my squats, I literally have to rack the bar up and sit down and concentrate on breathing after I finish squatting. And if anybody comes up and tries to talk to me at that point, I literally have to say, just give me a minute. You know, it takes a long time to get yourself back off the floor if you're training correctly. And a lot of people just don't train hard. And that's the difference yourself to those limits that you don't actually know. Like that, I put on a picture of my face yesterday on one of the training videos that I did up in Colville, and my face is always, I don't know what happens, but I just kind of take this huge intake of breath and blow my cheeks out and I look ridiculous. But do you know, freaking heavyweight photo and talking with Zach in Colville, I think I pushed I think there was 240. No, it was 25 plates. So 250 I was pushing on a leg press for 10. And I was 104 pounds at the time, which is like, what's that, 47 kilos? So it was slightly ridiculous. I don't know. Yeah, I am crazy light. I'm still crazy light, actually. We've gone off on a tangent again, not actually done an M&M update. So let's move on from that. What's your week been like this week?
It's
depleted, which is great.
It's to be fair, like the last the last 7 to 8 weeks have been exactly the fucking same. Like, they've not changed at all in terms of the way that I've been approaching things. I've been reversing my calories for a long, long time. The last sort of few weeks have been anywhere between 470 and 500 grams of carbs, 45 grams of fat, and anywhere between 180 and sometimes as high as 200 grams of protein. Because I did a few days where I did actually try, from one of my friends, Alex Kickle. I don't know if you know him. He runs Beast Fitness Radio. It's a good podcast.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And he just sort of recommended, from a thermic effect of food and your ability to take on board more nutrients, especially if you're feeling still hunger symptoms, increasing your protein could be a great idea at this stage, to potentially gain back some lean tissue as well from his eyes. And you've
got quite good protein turnover as well at the minute.
Yeah, you'll have incredible protein turnover. So it'll be something that I'll definitely be doing upon completely finishing the prep. In terms of increasing my protein, and I'll actually be working it up to pretty high levels in off season, because I do think that I've seen some coaches basically anecdotally say that, you know, that higher protein in gaining phases, not only from a perspective of getting in enough high quality range of amino acids across the day, but also just like people make more gains sometimes. Like people have seen it. Like Cliff Wilson massively advocates it, and he's coached some of the best naturals in the world. You know, I'm willing to take that sort of, you know, go on the upper end of things just to potentially make some more progress. As long as my digestion is fine, then I'm good with that.
Exactly. And just to jump in on the whole Cliff Wilson thing, he does actually do the exact same thing with males as he does with females. So even with the female athletes that he has a higher, or he goes on to the higher end of the protein intake as well.
Yeah, I know.
Have you been following Alison Moyner? She's a week out from the IP World.
Yeah.
Oh my God. She is phenomenal. And you know, you see, she's a figure pro.
Yeah.
If anybody hasn't seen her or follows her, then obviously just go and do it, because she's actually quite inspiring, or she is to me. But it's what I want to say. The difference of it is that if you see her pictures, her selfies and things, she looks very skinny, very, very ripped, but she doesn't look like that on stage. When you see her on stage compared to the pictures that she puts up in her basement gym, it's almost two worlds apart. And it's just like, how the hell does that work? And it just proves that bodybuilding isn't. So me and AJ were talking at the beginning of this podcast saying that his mum still thinks that he looks ill. But on stage, he doesn't look like that. And you're not meant to look like that. So using that one tool in the toolbox, which is more than likely the hammer, getting rid of all your calories. And I mean, look what AJ's doing. He's not reducing his calories every single week to get leaner and leaner and leaner. He's actually putting them up. You know, he's not just using one tool in the toolbox.
At this stage. Yeah, I think the important thing to note is that my lowest calories were just before, when were they? They were just before the Midlands, like 2 weeks. No, sorry. They were just before the BNBF finals. The BNBF finals was like the week before the BNBF finals was the week I started reversing. Right. That was how long I've been reversing for. So that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
At least a couple of months.
First weekend in October.
Yeah.
Yes.
So about a month and a half. Month and a half have been reversing. And actually, it's so funny now. Like every single high level bodybuilder that has done decently well, like I keep hearing talking about it in terms of being ready early and working up their food, from naturals to enhanced bodybuilders as well. Yeah. Like the funny thing is, I was like last night I was listening to Doug Miller asked the boss, and he was like, people were asking him about peaking, and he was like, I get ready 5 to 6 weeks out, and that's where my lowest calories are, and then I work my calories up. And he was also talking about post show binging and post show like reverse dieting and how long it takes him to get his calories up, because these were some listeners' questions that he had. And then he went right back to that point, and he was like, well, because I've been reversing my calories for 4 to 6 weeks, I actually feel pretty okay, and I don't feel the need to binge. I feel full. I feel like my training's going better again, and I don't feel like I need to overeat. And then he gets back into his off season with like really in a really good space, and that's exactly how I feel right now. I feel
Awesome.
like I must admit, I've had a few bad days recently. The only issue I'm having at the moment is just the energy levels. That is it. That is literally it. My sleep's perfect. My training is wicked. If anything, I feel like I'm training in a fucking off season. But I've just got striated glutes. That's why I train in a hoodie and joggers, because I actually want to forget that I'm peeled. Because if I remind myself by like training in a t-shirt or a vest that I'm peeled, I'll automatically think that I need to be weak. And if I train in a hoodie and I cover myself up and I just literally pretend that I'm off season, I'm strong as hell because I've got plenty of substrate in me. I should be training well. So yeah, the only issue at the moment, the only thing that makes it feel like prep really is the lack of energy, the no sex drive, which will come back when I increase dietary fat a little bit. So I do think that actually, the more I look into it, I just think that it's not so much down to dietary fat intake. It's more so down to simply low body fat. I think that just getting more body fat back, regardless of where dietary fat is, should bring that back to a good level. So that's that. It's with anything, it is what you make it. A lot of people at this stage are like, oh, AJ, you're on your like 42nd week of prep. Like, I hope you're okay. And also, like, clients as well, they almost preface questions with like, I know you're 1 week out, but thank you for doing the feedback. And I'm like, shut up! Like, shut up!
I know, yeah.
It's almost
This is
annoying.
my job. I'm going to get on with it.
We talked about this before, I think, didn't we? It's almost sometimes a little bit frustrating that, because I'm like, I don't want to be reminded that I'm 1 week out or whatever. I think one other thing that I must note as well at this stage that I'm kind of looking forward to getting into an off season for is the fact, Vicky, you still there? I can't really see you. Paused a little bit.
Oh, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay, cool.
I don't know whether it's your connection or mine, but you keep fading your end. Okay, cool. One thing that I would like to mention that I think is really important is the psychological side of being this deep into a prep. Like, I feel sometimes very, very drained psychologically by just thinking about how I'm looking, how far I am away from the show, especially with this one being having to organise flights. Vicky, like, you'll laugh. Listeners will laugh at this. I booked 2 incorrect flights. Like, I had to
Serious?
Yeah, for the wrong dates. Yeah. And I lost...
Shit!
I've lost like £200 because of my fucking stupid prep brain. And really annoying. Really annoying. I sat down one evening. Basically, the reason I found out, I'd have gone to America without even... Luckily, it was my connecting flights to get to Boston to New York to meet my sister. So it wasn't the end of the world. It wouldn't have been the end of the world. But anyway, I sat down one evening and I got a confirmation email. I was like, that just doesn't seem right. It was like, your trip to New York is like 7 days away. And I was like, no, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's
Arguing
not.
with your email.
I don't even fly to Boston in 7 days. And so I looked at it and I was like, fuck. I was like, fuck. I booked the exact right flight, but just a week earlier than I was meant to. And I was like, how did I even do that? Because I clicked confirm. I've paid all the money and I've completely the wrong date. And it's just things like that. Like, my brain function is not where it should be on a lot of things. So it just takes me a while to like focus. I have to really like double think about things. But other than that, I can't complain. It's just I've wanted to get on stage for the last sort of 2.5, 3 weeks, to be honest. Because I've just been at that point where I've been sort of just ready and just making the final tweaks. But it's interesting what the physique does when you stay in like a very, 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 very moderate calorie deficit. Very moderate. It just gets this like, I almost look like the side of my left leg almost looks a bit like John Meadows' legs now.
Yeah, they do look crazy.
Like very grainy look.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is though. I don't know what's the science behind the fact. What, like, is it just staying lean for this long that makes things look like, I don't know, what could that be?
I think it's because obviously fat cells don't just disappear. Fat cells get smaller and bigger as they fill up. So okay. I think it's basically your fat cells get so small and so flat that there is literally nothing covering the muscle in its entirety. Yeah. And the muscle itself, even though it has the fibers that cross over itself, it does have a bumpy, grainy look to it.
Yes.
So if you've got nothing covering that muscle and nothing covering the sheaths that cover the muscle, that's what gives you that kind of grainy look. And that density, and you actually look hard as well. You know how you can look lean, but then you can look lean and hard?
Yeah.
That's what I think goes with it, because I was the only reason why I kind of know that is because when I had my MRI scan for my bust glute, this is what they were saying on it. And they said, you can literally feel every fiber and every sheath that goes over the muscle, because I was stupid lean on my lower half for some ridiculous reason, condition. But yeah, so that's what I think it is. You can get that really hard and grainy look the more and more flatter and thinner your fat cells go, because you don't increase fat cells. Everyone's born with a certain amount of fat cells.
Yeah.
So you can't get multiple fat cells, although there has been some kind of research around it saying that you can actually grow more, but I'm still a little bit superstitious that.
Is that with obese people when they sort of get like massively far gone?
Yeah, it's like multiply. The fat overshooting. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they only multiply in certain positions as well, certain points in the body. But you can't physically get rid of fat cells. The only way that you can get rid of fat cells is by liposuction. Yeah, so if you imagine your fat cells as a sponge, if you put too much in, they literally just blow up and then decrease. And that's all it is with weight loss, or fat loss, should I say. Yeah. And the only reason why you get thinner and thinner or leaner and leaner when you look into the cases of complete over dieting or anorexics or various other eating disorders is that it starts to take away your muscle tissue. And that's the reason why you're then left with bone and skin, and you don't have that grainy look, but you just have that sag, because the grain comes from the muscle, not from anything else. If I'm rambling on a little bit too much there.
No, that makes a lot. It's interesting. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so I'll do some more research on it and then have a look. Now, I know we're obviously coming up on time and everything like that. So, is there anything?
Let's cover you a little bit, because I'm sure people are interested in where you're at a little bit. So let's just cover you a little bit briefly. So how's your training been this week?
Training has been absolutely immense for some.
Have you still done twice a days?
I did twice a days, and I'm gonna do another 2 a day today.
How did you feel? What's your review? And what were those twice a days?
Do you know, it was absolutely wicked. I really loved it, actually, because
fun, isn't it?
Yeah, I liked it. I think it was because of the simple fact that it was something different.
Yeah.
My training was still the same, but so my volume was the same,
Yeah.
but I just split it up into 2 sessions, and I felt so much better hammering squats, so much better hammering OHP. And within a week, it's like I did all my heavy stuff in the morning, and then I did all of my hypertrophy kind of isolation work and Myo reps and things like that in the afternoon, which worked really, really well.
Sure.
But within a week, I put 2.5 kilos on my overhead press and completed all sets and all reps, and it was just like, what the hell is that? And you just feel so much more energetic, because I walked back in after like 45 minutes of training in my power lifts in the morning, and I just said to Scott, I was like, you know what, I don't feel fucked. I actually feel good.
I think that's a good thing for you. I think that's a really good thing for you, because you're like me. You bury yourself in training sessions.
Yeah,
like
really
I
do.
come home from a session now, and that's when I have my 5-10 minutes of chill time where I actually get to sit on a sofa.
Yeah.
And the other night, like after one of my pool sessions, I was so buried that like my mum was like, "Are you all right?" Because I was just I was like you, like in your story last night. I was just so fucked up, both physically and like neurologically, that I could barely like get out a sentence and just think properly. So I think, you know, if you're not that buried, it allows you to function a little bit better throughout the day and probably enjoy your days a little bit more while still gaining the same intensity in your sessions. And then on the days where you do just want to fucking bury yourself and leave yourself in a hole, you can do single days. But I think it's something that I'm going to definitely be doing when I've got sort of more room to play with regards to energy. So
And time.
Yeah, it's very restrictive on time. I think what I'll be doing is, instead of doing my sort of AM expenditure through steps, I'll probably be AM training, and then I'll be back at the time that I would have finished my normal steps, back at home basically, work, and then go for the sort of the afternoon session, because I can't manage to fit in like steps, 2 training sets. I don't know how Steve did it in his entire prep. Like, I don't know how he managed to fit it all in.
No.
I know that he accumulated his steps in a bit of a different way, and his steps were lower, but still, I don't know how he managed to do 2 training sessions, you know, keep up with all his clients, etc. I just don't. I couldn't have personally done that.
No.
I can only be in the gym once, and you know, that's sometimes a push. Like, I'm sometimes having to answer a few WhatsApps when I'm training, and that's not ideal.
No, I've stopped doing that. I've just turned off all of my notifications when I'm in the gym now, because I really want to focus.
Yeah.
So yeah, the 2-a-days are going quite well. I am still just going to keep it at 2 sessions a week though, doing 2-a-days, because I do them on my heavier lifts.
Is that
And
just
it works
legs and legs and push then?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
On my back days, because I've got 2 back days anyway, I've got one back width and one back thickness. They're quite taxing on their own, and I don't do a lot of Myo reps or you know, isolation work on them, to be perfectly honest with you. Yeah, I don't do a lot of them. So, and my back sessions are realistically only about 50 minutes to an hour on both of them, because they are so intense on the actual thing. So it's like my width days, it's all kind of lat pull downs, unilateral lats, you know, things like that, and it's hardcore. It really is just different hand placements and widths and various other bits. And by the time I finish them, you know, I mean, I do like 16 sets. No, I don't. I do. 16 sets on width.
Nice.
And I'll do some warm-ups, so I'll do like 3 sets of 8 on pull-ups or something like that, you know. And I just do body weight pull-ups at the minute, because I'm just doing them for a warm-up. But at the end of that session, I'm buried anyway.
Yeah.
And there's no way that I can split that up. So on those back days, I just obviously I do those all in one go. But legs and push sessions, yeah, I've found that it's really actually improved my lifts.
Nice.
Very, very much so. So
Nice.
I put on 5 kilos on my OHP, 5 kilos on my incline bench. With ease as well, you know, which was quite surprising, because, you know, when you do that OHP and it's like, oh.
Yeah, usually OHP is a bitch to progress.
Yeah, that's it.
It takes like years. I remember being stuck at the same weight for ages, and I've said that to so many clients. I'm like, you know, you need to be patient with the OHP, because it just takes fucking time to actually get moving.
Exactly.
But yeah, cool. Like calories wise, are they the same? Body weight wise, any sort of changes?
Body weight wise, I've put on a pound.
That's good.
Whoop! Put
Happy
on a
days.
pound. Happy days. I know, yeah. Whoop, whoop for the tiny titan. I'm finally getting some mass, but yeah,
Good.
a pound.
Good.
But it's slow progress. And bottom line is, I don't want to be these kind of people who I've seen it loads on social media recently, just this last week, saying,
Some people have put on like 3 or 4 stone.
Jesus Christ, I have no idea what's happened. I mean, some of the guys are assisted, some of them aren't. But it's just like, I've put on 8 kilos in the last 3 weeks. And it's like, what? I really don't understand how you feel good about that. But then they put their pictures up and they're like, oh yeah, I'm dead watery. And there's that. It's like, it's not all water.
Oh,
8 kilos in 4 weeks, that is not all water. But they're like, yeah, it's all water, it will come off. But this is where we get into it, where I don't want to be that person who puts on 2 stone and then thinks, fuck, I need to do a mini cut now.
No,
do you know what I mean?
The thing is, you've got potential plans to compete, haven't you? So, if that's on the horizon, you need to be very, 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 very vigilant at this stage.
Exactly.
You can't afford to fuck it up.
No, this is it. No. And everyone's just kind of saying, I'll live a little and do this and do that. My food is the same every day, but it's not the same every day. Which
what is living a little? Like this is where it fucks me off a little bit, because if I'm honest, like, we love this. Yeah. And we wouldn't do it if we didn't love it. And if we had to live a little and we had to do something that we like to satisfy someone else's outlook or someone else's view on us, we don't have to go out and eat shit.
No, exactly.
Or just completely come off our diet or stop doing steps. The take-home message that I really think is important post-show is really focus on yourself. Do what makes you happy. If that's getting hella fat, I mean, go for it. You know that's not optimal, but go for it. If that really makes you happy and you want to spend Christmas in your fluffy Christmas jumper, 40 kilos above stage weight, with your family, have fun, and you're happy like that, cool. If you're crying into your Christmas dinner because you're that heavy, well, that's your own fault, and you should have done something more sensible, and you should have just literally manned up and gone through the process how you're supposed to. You needed just a touch of, like, real life when it comes to this post-show period. And, like, I know that Steve at the moment at Revive Stronger is feeling a little bit of pressure when he's coming out of a gaining phase and sort of struggling to get his body weight up. I look at Steve and I think, in my opinion, and I'll happily share this on the podcast, I think he should stop sharing his scale weight on Instagram stories, and he should just focus on just doing it for himself and not having to have this like daily accountability tool of sharing his scale weight, because I think that puts too much pressure on him. Like, if he finds it hard to gain, he needs time on his own to accept that it's hard to gain and try and do it for himself. Because I think the accountability of Instagram is superb, but sometimes you just need time alone to focus on what you're doing and your process. Like, this is the entire reason why I don't share my current macros. And over the past 5 weeks, I don't think I've taken one image of my scale weight. Because I just don't think that it's worth sharing with my people, because I don't think that they need to know the weight of that. They need to know how I'm looking, which is why I usually share one of my progress photos from the morning. Because that's who I am at the moment. I'm a bodybuilder. And then in the off season, I think the only things I'll focus on sharing is how my lifts are improving. So,
yeah, exactly. It's different things, isn't it, that you've got to be focused on. It's like this morning, I was just in the bathroom brushing my teeth, and Scott even said to me, "What's your weight doing at the minute?" And I said, "I don't know. I haven't weighed myself yet." But why? And he said, "Because your hamstrings are looking really tight." Now, the thing is that I've put on weight, and yet I look so much better. And I said, "Oh, well, that's all right then." Yeah. And automatically, mentally, I was just like, "Oh, I couldn't give a shit what the scale weight says now, because Scott's noticed that I'm actually looking better. I'm looking fuller. I'm looking healthier, and that's the aim of the game."
This is why I take my progress pictures before I weigh in. And this is what I think every single physique athlete should do. Every single physique athlete should get up, do their progress images, and then weigh after. And after you've analysed them as well. You need to analyse them, you need to take them. Like, I will be doing more preps in the future, I think, with less focus on the scale, like way less focus. I think I think as I get away like a good month into my off season, I'll probably only weigh once a week under the same variables. I fuck weighing in every day. Like, you just don't need to. You really don't need to. When you're dieting down, it's a great tool. Yes, I really do believe that. I still believe that. But I don't believe that, one, it's a great tool towards the end. I don't think so. I think the only thing that it shows towards the end is whether you've been for a shit or not.
Yeah.
And how full your glycogen stores are. That's literally it. That's literally all I think it shows. And I don't care about that. And, you know, you need to have an eye on it, of course. But your weight, your fundamental weight should always be on how you look. Sure. How do you look? That is what's going on stage. You know, you could be a pound up in glycogen, look better, look tighter, and then you could say to yourself, oh shit, gain a pound, like, I probably need to drop food.
Yeah.
I probably need to drop food at this point. And you probably don't, because you'll flatten out over the next few days of hard training. Your scale weight will probably drop anyway without you having to drop food. Like, yeah, just like, scale weight for me at the moment is just something I just bear very minimal relevance to. And I think more physique athletes should do that. But anyway, we've gone on for a while here, haven't we?
We have, definitely. So let's wrap it up then.
It's been good.
Yeah, it has been good. So get ready, guys, to take the screenshot of us for the socials. Oh, yeah, never forget that. Never forget that. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And there you are. Well done. So that is another episode all wrapped up. So I think we're going to manage to get one more together, aren't we?
Potentially, Vic, but I'm probably going to have to admit defeat on that one. Because I don't think I'll be able to do... I might be able to do Wednesday, but to be honest, it's probably because it's just going to be a packed day for me. I've got so much stuff to sort with regards to packing and everything, and I leave Thursday. And doing one Monday or Tuesday will be pretty similar to the one that we just done, because it's in like 2 or 3 days time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what I'll probably do then is that I might have a little bit of a catch up with you anyway, which I do, you know, daily and weekly anyway. Yeah. And then if anybody's got any questions that you want me to ask AJ or you want me to cover or anything like that, I'll do like a mini M&M update for 15 minutes or something.
Amazing. That'll be wicked.
So then at least then we've still got a podcast. Yeah, we've still got an episode that goes out, and I'm obviously, you know, keeping up with my boy and with the listeners. And so if you've got any questions, guys, obviously just send them to me. Again, don't bother AJ. I have just to obviously just finish up quickly. I have received all of your messages that you have sent over in regards to questions after AJ finishes off the Worlds, and I've got them all written down, so we can obviously do these Q&As after AJ comes back. So keep those questions coming in, and we're just going to compile them and keep on answering them in regards to off seasons or any other questions that you may have.
We'll probably do a whole episode on a Q&A as well if we just gather a big bulk load. And then we can do like a more of a segment on a Q&A. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like those.
Yeah, definitely.
Good. All right then.
So other than that, lots of love, safe trip, guys. Speak to you all next week. It will just be the M update with a side order of the big M update. All right, take care, guys.
Lots of love, guys. Cheers.